He earned $300,000 a year, but somehow, at the end of every single month, he still had absolutely nothing left. Did you know that over a third of people earning six-figure salaries are currently living trapped in a stressful paycheck-to-paycheck cycle? It sounds completely impossible to the average person. How can someone making massive amounts of money have an empty bank account when emergencies strike? Because financial ruin at a high income is never just a math problem. It is a deeply psychological one. Your mind can easily trap you inside a golden cage unless you take the time to learn exactly how it works against you. And that is exactly why your very first move must be simple, yet profound. You must disappear from the noise. Not from your life, and certainly not from your real responsibilities, but just from the endless digital distractions that are quietly pulling you down. You must step away from the invisible habits that slowly drain your accounts, one tiny, unnoticed leak at a time. The harsh truth is that most people are not broke because they earn too little. They are broke because they blindly repeat the exact same patterns, decade after decade. It is the same income, the same impulsive spending, the same overwhelming stress, and ultimately, the exact same results. That is exactly how the vicious loop keeps going, grinding away month after month and year after agonizing year. Until one day, you finally wake up and decide to break it completely. Real, lasting change only starts when your mind fundamentally changes, not when your salary unexpectedly increases. And real generational wealth always begins in absolute silence, long before anyone in the outside world ever notices it. Just like a giant oak tree growing from a tiny seed, it must establish its roots underground first. There is no early applause. There is no cheering crowd. There is just steady, undeniable growth happening in private. That is exactly where true personal transformation happens, far away from the flashing lights and the deafening noise of society. Because in today's world, your attention is incredibly expensive, and distraction always comes with a heavy financial cost. It can cost you your daily peace of mind, your hard-earned savings, and sometimes it can even cost you your entire future. Social media algorithms, targeted advertisements, and peer pressure. All of it is brilliantly engineered to train your brain to constantly want more, and it is almost never what you actually need. It is often just what looks good to strangers on the internet. That endless cycle creates artificial desires in your mind, and artificial desires always lead to incredibly weak financial decisions. So you must learn to pause before you tap that screen, before you spend that money, and before you blindly follow the crowd. You need to sit in silence and ask yourself quietly, what do I actually want from my money? Not what looks impressive to people I do not even like, but what actually gives me total absolute freedom. That single powerful question alone has the ability to completely reset your entire life's direction. Because when the anxious mind finally settles, ultimate clarity begins to take shape. And that crystal clear clarity is the true starting point of all wealth. Look closely at Elon Musk. After he sold his stake in PayPal, he did not immediately rush out to buy a life of endless luxury and leisure. Instead, he completely disappeared into a world of intense learning, obsessing over rocket science, advanced engineering, and building massive concepts entirely from scratch. Years later, he came back into the public eye with SpaceX, and the entire world finally saw what his silence had been meticulously building. Warren Buffett did the exact same thing, just in a slightly different way. He chose to live simply in a modest house, focus deeply on his research, and let the magic of compounding do the heavy lifting for decades. These titans did not desperately chase public attention. They built monumental value in absolute silence. And that is the exact same pattern that you should be following today. First, you must clearly define your own real financial goal, not society's manufactured goal. not your neighbor's flashy lifestyle, but your own deeply personal goal. Then you must ruthlessly cut out the noise, the impulsive late-night spending, the toxic social comparison, and the endless mindless scrolling. Turn off every single thing that steals your valuable attention, because those tiny distractions are actively costing you real money. Next, it is time to build your own wealth cave. You need to create a quiet, dedicated place where you can think clearly, learn new concepts, plan your future, and stay completely consistent. It must be a sacred space that strictly helps you grow, instead of pulling you backward into your old habits. From there, you must track your financial progress every single day. Even if the needle only moves a fraction of an inch, challenge yourself to learn one new thing about money daily, and work to improve at least one high-value skill that can dramatically raise your earning potential. Because long-term, unbreakable wealth is always built by making small, strategic daily moves. It is never built on massive, emotional gambles. It is built entirely on small, fiercely disciplined actions. And yes, mastering delayed gratification is the ultimate cheat code. You must choose to plant the seed today, even when eating the candy right now looks so much easier. You must also fiercely protect your vision from outsiders, because not everyone in your circle will understand this sudden obsession with growth. Some people will inevitably laugh at your new silent lifestyle simply because they possess minds that only understand noise and chaos. So do not waste your breath trying to explain everything to them. Just put your head down and let your massive results speak for you later. Let your growing bank numbers talk. Let your steady progress talk. Let your newfound, unshakable calm speak entirely for itself. Because one day very soon, you will suddenly notice the shift. Your daily spending will feel calculated and controlled, rather than anxious and chaotic. Your investment accounts will start compounding and growing, steadily, powerfully, and almost quietly. Your internal confidence will rise to entirely new levels because your mind is finally organized and in perfect order. And then, those same people who doubted you will pull you aside and ask, "How in the world did you change your life like this?" When that happens, just offer them a polite smile and say nothing fancy at all. Simply look them in the eye and say, "I did not change overnight. I just finally understood how money works. I understood my bad habits. I took back control of my attention, and I completely rewired my patterns." Because real wealth does not begin with a stroke of blind luck. It begins strictly with absolute clarity, a Durnish, ironclad discipline, and the power of silence. It begins the exact moment you stop leaking your precious energy into all the wrong places. It begins when you decide to build your empire completely in private, so that one day you can confidently rise in public. So maybe, just maybe, hearing this right now is your ultimate sign, a sign to finally step back from the edge for a while, to completely disconnect from the circus, actively rebuild your mind, and ultimately rebuild your financial future. Disappear into the shadows for a little while, not because you want to escape your life, but because you are ready to completely upgrade it. And then, when the time is right, you will come back stronger, infinitely calmer, and far more intentional than ever before. Because the beautiful, wealthy, and peaceful life that you truly want will never, ever come from the noise. It will only come from extreme focus, unwavering patience, and quiet, relentless consistency. Your next chapter does not need a crowd. It only needs your attention. Your peace will grow. Your clarity will grow. Your wealth will grow. Then people will ask what changed, and your results will answer for you. So build in silence, stay disciplined, then rise. If this video made you think, or gave you even one valuable insight, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're ready to step back, rebuild yourself, and come back stronger than ever, type yes in the comments. You never know who needs to hear this. So share it with someone who should watch this today. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because the next video might change everything. I'll see you in the next one.